Welcome to Winning Retirement Television. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group. And to our viewers at home, a very special episode today. We're going to talk a little bit about the game of golf, right? Kristen, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to see you. You look beautiful as always. Thank you. And Greg, how are you?
On par.
On par.
Yes.
Perfect. I love that. I love that. Well, we all have a friend or a family member that is an avid player of the game golf, right? Everyone loves golf. But I have to ask you, Greg and Kristen, first of all, how are your golf games?
Oh, my goodness. Well, we live in Grove City, obviously, and we live near the Pinnacle Golf Course. And I don't get out as often as I like, but I would say that I am kind of a average golfer. I'm not.
Mid? Is that what the boys would call it?
The boys
Mid?
would call me mid.
Mid?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm not great, but I'm not the worst.
All right. And Kristen, do you play?
Well, my game's been non-existent for 2 years. I was dealing with a pinched nerve, and I was afraid to aggravate that thing, but I'm going to get back out there. I am starting to warm up and go to the driving range, and I'm going to try to do it this year so I can hang with Greg. But I will never be as good as him. That won't happen.
I feel that way
you?
when I play with my husband as well, because he's out there more than I am. I go out there to have fun. So
Yes.
everything that I do in life has to always have a little bit of whimsy. Like my license plate says hug trees, and
Aw.
my golf balls are usually something silly. Like I have the Angry Birds.
Oh,
I
that
love
is
it. I
cool.
love it.
Right? Because you
Yes.
just have to have fun. And so when we're out there playing, I won't let myself or my husband touch the red cardinal golf ball, because that's like my favorite. So, but the other ones, you know, when I lose...
So it just sits pretty in your bag.
It does,
Okay.
and it just
I have
makes
one
me
like
happy
that.
when I
I have
look
an
at
M&M's
it.
one like that.
You do?
Yes, yes.
See, and you don't want
So
to
I
lose
get
it. And could it be replaced? Probably. But I play to have fun. We have a good
Yes.
time. And most importantly, like you just said, Kristen, it's about the time that you have together.
Yes.
Which is amazing. But which is really interesting, I think, obviously, there was a study that came out from Investopedia article, actually, the key lessons that golf can teach you about your retirement planning and helping you as you're nearing retirement. So the first thing that they say, make sure that you get off to a good start, just like with golf. Greg, would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. Because, you know, that's where confidence comes from. And really, with a retirement plan, you can make or break your retirement by whether or not you get off to a good start. But I'm thinking about several years back, we went to the Dominican Republic. And so I signed up to play golf
Okay.
while I was there.
You
We were
made
going
me
with the
sign
group.
up.
Yes. And so it was a very nice Jack Nicklaus designed golf course in the Dominican with the professional caddy.
Which I knew I was in trouble when there was a caddy involved. 'Cause
Yes.
I'm like, I kick the ball
Yeah.
around. I
That would
don't.
make me nervous. Yeah, go out there and hack the ball.
So, yeah. And so I'm thinking, man, this is high class here. You know, I've never played with a professional caddy carrying my
Yikes.
bags and all that before. So I'm up on the tee first, the very first hole, and I'm nervous. I'm so nervous. And so I get up there, I'm lining it up, I'm overthinking it. I take my first swing and I just shank it to the left into the weeds. I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And so the caddy walks up to the tee, puts down another ball, and he says, Dominican mulligan, and starts laughing. And I was like, okay, from that point on, I relaxed.
Ice
I
is
said,
broken, yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
I'm like, this is going to be fun.
Yes.
I didn't have to be nervous about it. I just wanted it to be fun, as you mentioned. And I hit a nice straight tee shot down in the fairway. And I'm like, okay, now we're going to have a great time.
Now, with your retirement, when it comes to getting off to a good start, you don't want to shank it. You don't want to have that, because sometimes
No.
you don't have a do-over. You may not have that mulligan. So you want to make sure that you make good, sound decisions and you're ready when it's time to start. So Greg didn't really warm up. We didn't get there and get to the driving range and start off the way we should. And so I think the planning process is that warming up analogy with golf. You really need to go and swing it a couple times so you're ready for that first, is it tee off? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
First tee, yes,
First tee.
absolutely.
And you're right, because I very rarely take the time to warm up or go to the driving range. I just get out there and just whack the ball. That's what we call it.
Whack-a-mole.
Yeah, just whack the ball. So next they say also knowing that strategy is a strength. Just like golf, let's talk about how retirement planning should be a strategy to be a strength.
Well, it really is. And sometimes you get put in a precarious situation, and knowing when to lay up. I've watched tournaments where Phil Mickelson, who is one of my favorite golfers, I like watching him, and he sometimes gets really aggressive, and he'll be somewhere in the rough, and he's going to try to bend it around two trees and over a pond, and then try to land it on the green. And sometimes it works perfectly for him, and sometimes taking all that risk turns out to be a horrible tragedy. I remember watching one tournament where he was so frustrated. He was already at he was already like at a 7 or 8 on the hole, and the ball started rolling back down off the green, and before the ball stopped, he just whacked it back up and took a penalty stroke just because he was so frustrated. I'd never seen a professional golfer get that frustrated before. But you have to be sure that you have the right strategy where you don't get frustrated, you don't make bad decisions, that you don't let those circumstances take over. Have a good strategy. And sometimes it's just laying up, saying, okay, I know it's going to cost me a stroke or so to just get back in the fairway, get back on track. And when life happens to us, sometimes we just have to get back on track.
Well, I think what goes along with that too is being a strong golfer involves using different tools, because in between, I'm not great at golf, but I like watching it with Greg. It's kind of a fun thing we do, and they have conversations with their caddy along the way as to which club to use, right? And that caddy knows what tool fits them best for where they're at on the course, and they know the course like the back of their hand. And I think the same is true when you're retiring. I think there's lots of tools out there, but having someone go alongside you and help you to understand what tools are appropriate for where you're at in life is really important as well.
Absolutely.
It is. And you know, if you watch the PGA Tour at all, you notice that they kind of keep track of whether or not, when they're driving it off the tee with the driver, whether or not it lands in the fairway. And they will talk about, well, you know, they hit 14 out of 18 fairways today. Well, that driver is probably the one that's hardest to control. And I liken that to our growth piece of our retirement, because it's the hardest to control, the growth. What's the stock market going to do? Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? How devastated will we be if the market does go down? So just like you wouldn't use a driver for every shot on the course, you wouldn't use your growth for everything you're trying to accomplish in retirement. Now, if you're for me, if I'm 140 yards from the green, for me that's a 7-iron, and so I'm going to pull out that 7-iron. I can do pretty well with that. I can.
For me, that's the driver. I'm sorry. I love it. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. That's hilarious. I remember I was playing one time, and she was so frustrated that she put a tee in the middle of the fairway. And course manager may be listening.
I can relate to that.
But so for me, that's a 7-iron, and that's more of a mid-range club. It's a little easier to control than a driver. And for me, that's like your income planning. You're still a distance out, but you need to be able to control it more, and you need to be able to control what's going on with your income. That's vastly important. And then, you know, once you're on the green, now you're using your putter. And to me, that's your savings. That's your sleep well at night money. Now, okay, unless you're on one of those really slick, really steep greens, you're probably not going to, you know, hit it off the green with your putter. You're just going to nice and easy get it up there, maybe 1 putt, maybe 2 putts, hopefully not more than 3, and that will help save your game. So that savings can help save your retirement, because when life happens, you've got money to take care of those things.
Absolutely. Well, this is a perfect time for our very first commercial break. Would you both agree?
Oh, yeah.
All right. To our viewers at home, the number to call is on your screen. 614-336-7660. What you're calling in for today are free golf lessons from Greg. No, I'm kidding. What you're calling in for today is how to plan your perfect retirement. We know that you're in the viewing audience and you have a lot of questions. You've worked your entire life to get to the retirement years, and you may not have a plan in place. What Greg and Kristen are offering you is the chance to claim that complimentary consultation. Pick up the phone, call in today, 614-336-7660, or if you don't have your pen handy, grab your smartphone, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to Legacy Retirement Group's landing page, and you can claim your spot there. We're going to take a very short commercial break. We have so much more with Greg and Kristen about planning your retirement when we return.
I'm sometimes nervous when I don't know exactly what to expect. I find that there's a little hesitation in folks to want to go meet with an advisor. Maybe they're not sure if how they've done compared to others, but it's really our job to just sit down and have a conversation. There's an advisor for almost every street corner here in our city. At Legacy Retirement Group, we believe that if you plan smart, you can retire well. We want you to be successful in any economy. And how do you accomplish that in today's world? Well, we first want to look at the principles by which we're playing. No investment decision should ever be made outside the context of your plan. Then your plan determines your positions and what you hold in retirement. We want you to manage risk. We want you to not be surprised by healthcare costs or inflation or taxes. We don't want those to derail your retirement, and our focus has always been consistency and efficiency. Really trying to maintain what it is that we've spent our lifetime accumulating and now transitioning that into a plan, transitioning that into something that feels secure and gives me peace of mind so that I know I'm not going to outlive my money. It's nice to see that relief in people's faces when you can tell they're confident in their plan.
Greg really gets pleasure out of seeing our clients' success.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement Television with Greg and Kristen Taylor. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. Today we're talking about your retirement plan and how that can sometimes coincide with golf, if you will, and other sports. So stay tuned. Well, I think it's interesting because obviously we covered a few points about make sure that you get off to a good start. That's number one. Know that strategy is a strength. The next one, stay calm in the storm. Greg, what does that mean? Stay calm in the storm.
Well, first of all, carry a plastic umbrella if you're in the middle of the storm. I'm just kidding.
Okay, great advice.
That'll help you stay calm because if lightning strikes, you don't want to be carrying that metal one. But
great advice.
No, seriously, storms do happen in life.
Yes.
Some storms are more focused on our health. Unfortunately, right now, so many of our families that we love and serve are dealing with a healthcare crisis.
Absolutely.
With some, it's cancer. We've got one that's dealing with leukemia. We have several that are dealing with Parkinson's right now. And that's a storm that can be really devastating.
That's when life happens, right?
It really does.
Yeah.
And when those storms happen, we don't want people to have to panic. It's one thing to be devastated by the health condition of your loved one. That's another thing to deal with financial struggles on top of that. So we want people to be prepared for when those storms happen in life that, okay, we can't control that, what happened to us in our health, but if we have a plan in place to where our finances aren't devastated as well, then that can help that spouse that's dealing with it, that caregiver, that one that's trying to deal with the emotions of all that, to keep it all together.
Yeah.
Another one is a storm can be market volatility. And we've dealt with that a lot in the last few years. 2020, we had the pandemic and we had that huge drop so quickly. And then the market came storming back towards the end of the year. 2022 was just an awful year for stocks and bonds. Both went down double digits in 2022. Just an awful experience. And the thing that people used, bonds, to de-risk actually became a risk. And so we realized that using the same tools for everything isn't necessarily the best option. And Cynthia, in my mind, sometimes it's okay to just seek shelter from the storm.
Absolutely.
And parts of that storm, especially when it comes to market volatility, it's okay to have some money protected. But if you're going to have it protected, you want to make sure you have as much growth opportunity as possible on your protected money.
Sure.
Because you don't want that. You don't want to have too much that would be subject to inflation risk. So when these storms come, and they will, I've done this now for over 30 years, and we've seen it all. And some families are so incredibly blessed to have great health and up into their 90s, and that's just a blessing. But others are struggling. I have a client that his wife went into a nursing home when she was 59 with dementia. And I watched him dote over her for 7 years in that nursing home, going to visit her daily, loving on her, and she couldn't love him back. He was still loving on her, and to watch him going through that and to try to help get him through that, not just financially, but also emotionally. Those are storms. And so sometimes, though, it's okay to get out of the storm. And, it's okay to have some things that are protected. And for them, they had protection from a devastation due to that, but they still had the heartaches. So that piece is huge.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Greg. What about the importance of taking lessons, Kristen? Let's talk a little bit about that. And how does that tie into retirement planning, taking lessons?
Yeah, so Greg attempted to take lessons once, didn't you?
Yes.
And you didn't like what he had to say.
Well, he told me I suck.
And it's funny, though, because I loved that he videoed you while you were swinging to kind of show you what you were doing wrong, whereas Greg didn't like that as much. It was painful for him to watch. But when he finally took a step back and thought, okay, I'm paying for this, I might as well get the most out of it, he realized that the instructor was right. And he was able to correct what he was doing wrong. And so I think sometimes it's hard. I think if I convey this when it comes to a retirement strategy or an investing strategy, sometimes it's hard to look in the mirror and admit, hey, I need to make some changes here.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you need to throw the baby out with the bathwater and change everything and do it all, but really taking a step back and saying, okay, it would do our family well to get some help, to get a coach, to get somebody that can come alongside us and help us get to our retirement goals.
Okay. Perfect.
That is a great point, Kristen, because I've worked here recently. We've worked with a number of engineers, and we're working now with this family. He came in and he had 8 spreadsheets already prepared, budgets, and all these different scenarios. He said, if I pull out this much every year, my money's going to last until here. And he had, all these scenarios that he'd worked out in his head. And, I'd listened, and they came back, and the next visit I said, okay, I'm going to recommend that we put this amount of money in this protected income plan, and that's going to protect the income you need for the rest of your lives, you and your wife, and that leaves all this other money here that you're not going to have to touch unless you just choose to. He's like, Greg, that just seems so simple. I said, it really is. It's that simple. We're going to protect your income with this money. We're going to grow your money over here. And so now we're going to segment it. You don't have to try to calculate each and every year how much is going to be left when you pass away. We're going to take less than half of it and generate your income. The rest can grow, and you can choose whether or not you want to withdraw from that over your lifetime. He's like, that's way easier than what I was trying to do. I said, you're a brilliant guy. You're really smart. It's just that you've never been trained in these areas.
Right.
So I said, my training has been in how to help people create retirement plans. Your training has been in how to analyze things. I said, I think once you analyze this, you're going to see how much better it is to plan this way. A couple of days later, they went home and talked about it. They called me the following week and said, yep, that's what we want. Came back in. Now we're working with them. And, the thing sometimes I think people worry about, Cynthia, when they take lessons or they get help from someone, is that that person's going to take over.
They'll lose control.
They'll lose control.
Yeah.
And what I told him, I said, I want you to have an account over here that you mess with and you do all on your own. And what you need for your livelihood, we can help you with. He's like, I like that. And so he realized he could still be in control of his future. He just wanted some help.
You're so passionate about that, both of you. Well, Greg, I know that you and Kristen have reserved some special spots for your new viewers today, if you will. Let's talk about what that looks like before we open the phones.
Well, I am not offering golf lessons. You don't want it from me because I'm not a professional at that. But what we do know how to do is create retirement plans. And we do those every single week. And what I'd like to do is, for you who are watching today, come in for our retirement readiness review. We're not going to check your golf swing, but what we will test is to see how much risk you have in your portfolio, to make sure you have a solid income plan, to help you have a good tax strategy with healthcare choices, and making sure whatever's left behind, it goes to your loved ones, not the government, not some attorney somewhere, not the court system. We want you to have that solid plan in place. So to claim your appointment right now, just give us a call, 614-336-7660.
Greg, thank you so much. Kristen, thank you so much to our viewers at home. That number to call is 614-336-7660, Or if you don't have your pen handy, you can grab your smartphone, click on that QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That will take you right to Legacy Retirement Group's landing page, and you can claim your complimentary consultation. We're going to take a very short commercial break here on Winning Retirement Television with Greg and Kristen Taylor. We have so much more when we return.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to Winning Retirement Television. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Greg and Kristen Taylor, of course, of the Legacy Retirement Group, and we're talking about all things retirement planning. Greg, I have to chuckle just a little bit when you were talking about your golf lessons and your pro said, you're not so great. Did you try pickleball? Because that's like all the rage.
All right.
So was that like the new game that came into play?
So what are you saying? If I suck at golf, I should try pickleball?
It's totally popular across the country. Everyone's playing pickleball.
We actually have a pretty famous kid in our area. We've known him since he was younger. He's kind of a countrywide traveler and pickleball champion right here in Grove City.
Really? That's
Yes,
so cool.
yes.
I have
love
never
that.
played pickleball, though. I played tennis before. In our backyard in the summertime, we have a table tennis, ping pong. And
I love that.
So I
Yep.
hear it's something sort of like between
Tennis.
table tennis
Yes.
and tennis. It's
But more movement.
It's more like
Right?
ping pong because it has a hard paddle and kind of a
Yes.
wiffle ball.
Yeah, it's a smaller paddle, but here's how popular it is. 8.9 million players in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
8.9.
That's
Well, you're
crazy.
just not
amazing.
cool, are you?
I am not.
Do you play?
I don't, but I've seen people play. Like I remember being down at the beach and there's people taking lessons, and at first I didn't know what it was. I'm like, what are those? Are they like practicing like their tennis swings, like just using shorter rackets? I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But then I learned that it was pickleball, and we have friends that are addicted to it. They love playing.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I know a lot of our clients, a lot of the families we work with go to Florida in the winter, and they talk about these pickleball tournaments all the time and how much fun they have. And what's really exciting to me is they light up when they're talking about it. And so
Yes.
many of them I'll ask, hey, have you played tennis before? Were you athletic in the past? And a lot of times the answer is no. It's just something that they picked up as they were enjoying their retirement years. And I think that's kind of cool just to start learning something new and being active and getting out there and doing new things. So that's fun to me.
Most definitely.
Well, a lot of them play, from what I understand, play pickleball as a team.
True.
Like there's doubles tournaments and things like that. And I think sometimes it's more fun if you do things as a team.
True.
And you can cover more ground. It's not quite as overwhelming to try to handle that all on your own. So yeah, it's kind of like retirement planning, really. I mean, if you're trying to do it all by yourself, you don't really have anybody to check and balance against. You don't have, a second set of eyes on things. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, or you don't see what you don't see. And so having kind of that team aspect, I think really, really works.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like you mentioned, obviously you need a team when it comes to retirement planning because it's a very different time. People are entering it for the very first time. Something else to talk about, I think that's so important that ties in nicely with the show would be healthy habits.
Yes.
So many people who are segueing into retirement right now are embracing a healthier lifestyle. They're eating better, they're exercising more, they're taking care of themselves. And does that also involve taking care of their finances when going into retirement?
Yeah, I mean, our two most precious commodities in life are our time and our health.
Absolutely.
We can't buy more time, and we really can't, in most ways, buy health. And so really taking control of that and doing these active things, I think is really, really important. And Greg has really
Embraced.
gotten a hold of this concept of really doing the most he can and taking control of his health and really trying to be active and push yourself. You know, just because you're aging doesn't mean that you have to stop working out or you have to stop.
Are you saying I'm aging?
You are aging.
Yeah, I am.
As we've done the show,
resemble that
look
comment.
back at our archive. I mean, you were not gray when we started doing this show.
Isn't that funny?
I wasn't great when we got married either.
Right?
But, you know, as we move forward, I think it's important to do these things so that we can have that longevity that we all, I mean, wouldn't it be a great problem to really have to plan for longevity?
Of course.
Because our experiences, I think, Cynthia, we were talking about this at lunch one day, you know, our experiences in those memory banks are what's important. The money, it's a means to an end, right? We need to have the money, it needs to last. But really having those experiences with our family and friends is the most important part of life.
That's what really matters. And you're both so passionate helping people with their bucket list items. We only have a couple minutes left in the show, but any interesting bucket list items from your clients coming in recently?
Oh my goodness, so many. I mean, I just met with a family. They're getting ready to buy a new motorhome, a new truck, and travel the country. They said, you know, in his job, he had to travel worldwide. He said, I've seen all the world, but I haven't seen the United States.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
And so they've got all these places that they plan to spend 6 months at a time just going around the country.
Wow.
So that's one.
Fantastic.
Another one, they just got back from 2 months in Italy. And the way they went to one area, then they took public transportation. They only traveled with backpacks, no luggage.
Oh my gosh.
Wouldn't that be
So
fun?
they stayed at Airbnbs. They traveled
Simplicity.
Italy on trains, would get around however they could and go from town to town, area to area for 2 months. I thought, man, that sounds really cool and fun. And it didn't cost a ton. They stayed in Airbnbs and did that. And so what a great experience.
So yeah, we've talked a lot on the show about the different things you can do, whether it's golf, whether it's pickleball, whether it's traveling. But the most important step to take is to take a step towards a winning retirement. And you can do that right on our website by going to the tools section and downloading our 5 Steps to Retirement guide. I think it's a great place to start. You can do it from the comfort of your home. And right there, just download it and take your first step towards a winning retirement.
I love it.
And enjoying the things you like to do, whether it's golf or pickleball.
I couldn't agree more, Kristen. Thank you so much. And Greg, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, thank you for spending time with us today on Winning Retirement Television. That number to call is 614-336-7660. Thank you for spending time with us. Be safe, be happy, and be blessed. We'll see you soon.